Hungarian teams, and maybe that's what we see coming up. I'm just trying to find the Wikipedia for it now. We can look at this. And yeah, they're third. They're only 1 point actually behind Wild, and I think they still have to play them once more as they're like halfway through the season. So it's definitely still available for them to get into that top two Hungarian team spot, and that's obviously really good achievement to have underneath your belt.
Yep. Okay. So it looks as though we're pretty much ready to head into the map, and it's going to be border first. This is UX Gaming's map pick. So they're going to be attacking first, and we're going to be going right on into the ban phase here. So border ban phases, they've changed a lot recently. I saw a border match quite recently, and it was the Ying that was banned, and it looks like Ying is going to be the one banned here. So yeah, that's no surprise to me. How about you?
With Ying's recent buff, she seems very, very strong, and I've heard from a lot of competitive players that she's just completely stupid. Is a really good way to put it, and
Yeah.
that she's very hard to deal with. Even if you have a Jaeger Mai, it's just it's just not a great thing to deal with. And people, I don't know if many people know, you can actually shoot candelas to to get rid of them that way, I believe. So maybe that's one way, but obviously you've got to see it first. And well, Ying's ability is to flash people. So
Yeah, it can be a bit of a dicey game trying to shoot those candidates. They are quite small, and if you happen to expose yourself to one and then miss the shots, then you're pretty much a sitting duck to anyone that wants to push in, following it in. And yeah, so she's got an extra candela and smokes and a LMG buff. So no surprise to see her off the board. Thatcher also going to be taken off, and Mirror Echo, the two defensive bans there.
apart from the Ying, they're very standard bans, but I would expect that Ying in the foreseeable future will become a common ban as well. Just because of well, it's a Ying meta. You saw it very early on in the Siege competitive scene was that you'd play Ying, you'd play Glaz, you'd smoke, and you'd throw Candelas in, and you'd have a Montaigne just go in and plan, and it was pretty hard for the defenders to deal with. And that's how we're kind of swaying back towards their meta right now. But obviously we won't be seeing much of that this game because obviously she's off the board. So we'll have to wait to see that another day.
Thermite's still an option though, and that's one of the interesting developments, I suppose, in Ying becoming such a hard ban across the board is that on maps like this, you quite often see the Thermite ban, and he's made his way through the ban phase, and it's going to be something that uh, Robinchu on the side of UX is probably looking to take full advantage of. But Budapest 5 have decided to throw a little bit of a curveball in this very first round and take us down to ventilation and workshop.
Yeah, normally you'd see teams go to the Armory and Archive site first, which is the most defense site. I would say probably on this. Obviously, we don't have any statistics for that, but I would say most people agree is that well, that's probably the easiest site to defend as you have a lot of places where you can play. There's a lot of places where you can't really be pushed out of, and well, it's hard for the attackers to attack. But it looks like it's going to be an upstairs kind of hold anyway from the defenders for this ventilation workshop site. But it seems like it will be slightly easier because well, you leave some walls reinforced as you do need some reinforcements on the site, so the attackers can easily kind of make inroads towards office, fountain, whatever they need.
Yeah, so it looks like a fairly split push based on the setup of the attackers, but already they're trying to apply some pressure to these players in offices. We've got Kingslayer in centre half on this east side, and a very quick run out and a very aggressive one at that does catch out Kingslayer, or no, does catch out Pangoro, apologies there, but Lucania is quick enough to react and takes down the Valkyrie in return. But he's left on only about 5 HP, if that. So a great start for Budapest 5 and some early aggression really paying off for Kingslayer, I'd say.
Yeah, that kind of paid off, especially Capitao as well. That's a really great pick. And a Valkyrie, well, obviously she has a C4, but all her cameras are placed down most prep phase, and she doesn't have much utility left apart from a gun. And well, she used her gun very wisely and got a pick onto the, like I said, the Capitao. I don't think he'd used any of his firebolts or smokes yet. I doubt he had. It's very early on in the round, and there's some great aggression being shown there, especially just put some pressure on the attackers. That slows them down a lot, and as you can see here, looks like they're struggling a little bit to get this wall. Obviously, still Bandit's still up, so he might be able to Bandit trick it. It looks like he's he's expecting another nade. Yeah, there you go. So yeah, it's
It's
easy
interesting.
for.
That nade looked like it would have fallen short, but there's a successful trick anyway. Somehow managing to deny it there, and I didn't actually quite catch how that happened. Did you?
No, I didn't actually. I didn't quite catch it either.
That's
So,
interesting. Well, anyway, One Step Heck is managing to find the head of Nico, and that's the Jaeger gone. So, despite that early round advantage, it would seem that oh well, a couple of kills going back and forth there. As now it's a 2 versus 3, and we have Rubinshu and Lucania left on very little HP, so it's still definitely within the reach of the defenders. But they're deciding to fall back to site now and try and play the timer.
yeah, the defender's full HP, like you said, is very winnable. Both Rabinchu and Lucania, both really, really close to death. Literally one bullet will do the trick. Even an impact, if Hufki decides to throw that one at either of them, it's kind of down to Chris to try and do some work here to maybe even get the last 2 kills or even one, just to take some pressure off his teammates. But there's only like what 25 seconds remaining. It's not great for his team really, but still winnable for both sides. Yeah.
Looks like the focus is going to be on this Vents push, but they have some cheeky vertical holes opened up, and it looks like centre half isn't shy about trying to take the fights, and in fact he's going upstairs right now. He's got a bit of a sight line. There we go, Hufki finding one as the diffuser is actually being stuck behind the desk, and this might escape the notice of the defenders. And there
Not
we
really.
have it. Defenders win that. I'm sorry, I had a little bit of a lag there in the clean feed, but Hufki opening up the wall and going for that aggressive push onto the desk, managing to seal the round out for the defenders.
Yeah, I think that the planner Rabinchu actually got down from upstairs by the castle, and then the guy outside of the main door got killed by Hufki. So yeah, the defenders winning that round purely off time. I think they had a little bit longer, maybe even just 10, 15 seconds longer. It would have worked out so much better for the attackers there because they could have easily drained out the site, but because they had such short amount of time, due to good defending by the way by Budapest 5, they held off the Bandit for as long as possible. They've got the picks that they needed to slow down the attack, but yeah, I think that could have easily went the other way if UX just had an extra 5 to 10 seconds.
It really could have, yeah. And it was interesting as well to see how that early pick on the Capital really did stunt that push, because as soon as you chuck a few smokes in there, like one extra smoke or one smoke at all would have made that a much more successful attempt, I reckon. But and as well as those 5 holes missing, yeah, it was very unfortunate that they lost that execute god in Capital so early in the round, because otherwise it probably would have been a UX round like you mentioned. So looks like we are heading to Bathroom Tellers, and a site that has seen a resurgence of late.
Yeah, I think we've seen the resurgence as you called it since Wamai's been in play because you can give yourself extra protection inside of office, which is a very crucial part of this site is holding office. And also that's why you see the Jaeger and the Wamai on play and Mute and Castle. It's all just how long can we slow down the attackers so that they can't get in and plant. Feel like reinforcements come up, be a opportunity to rush, but I don't think UX are reading into it, and also you don't want to risk a rush because if you lose the round, then you've already lost 2 rounds on air. I'd say board is probably like a like more like 50-50 for attack and defender sided. I'm not too sure how you feel about that, whether it's attacker or defender side, kind of in the middle.
Yeah, I'd say it's like in a way it leans a bit more towards the frag heavy sides, because it's been so played out now, and it's almost like teams have learnt the meta to such an extent and learnt this map so well that now the gunplay is really what matters in a lot of situations. But like you said, this Bathroom Teller's site is one way of kind of turning that on its head slightly, I suppose. And we get an early engagement here between Corvin and Ash of Lucania, just pushing into Archives, and centre half managing to find a kill onto Pangoro off screen. Chris replies with a headshot to Nico. So a 4 versus 4, and still strong office control in the hands of the defenders, but this Ash is making things a little bit more tetchy for them. C4 comes out from Hufki, but looks like it's held back on the detonate, not even coming through there. I think he probably whiffed that throw. Now, centre half is deciding, do I try and bail here out of the window, or do I fight? And it looks like he's going to head off downstairs to try and survive, but he's fully flashed, so trying to find his way back in. Oh, a flurry of kills there, as now it's a 3 versus 2, and Chris is finding one of those now, and it's now just Kingslayer left in on 1 versus 3. So all those flashing indicators on your screen, all the death icons, just showing that all that action going down right in Archives and Armory, and now it's all up to the Wamai. And he's got 45 seconds to hold this, but I can't really see him coming out of this. And there we have it. That's it. Chris finding, I think it was a 3-piece or something for him on the round. Great performance by the Sledge, and UX Gaming putting their first attacking win on the board.
And there you go, there's that fragging potential getting shown, and why just having great fraggers on your team can help you win a map, especially like Border. You see this on maps like Coastline, smaller maps, so Coastline, Border. Even Clubhouse to some extent you could say is a smaller map, but it's still very strategical, is Clubhouse, so that's probably not the best example, but yeah, there's your frag, as you said, Chris probably getting like 1, 2, maybe even 3 kills on that round. Just showing why if you have a good frag and you have a good gun in your hands, especially the L8, you can do a lot of work on, and especially on a bathroom teller's site. That's a strange site to go to before Armory Archives. Maybe a site they're trying to avoid. It looks like they're actually going to be going there now. No? Wait, yes? Yes, they are. Okay, I couldn't really see, but yes, they are going to Armory Archives right now. But it did seem like they were trying to avoid it, but they've decided that it was better than going back to bathroom and tellers.
Yeah, and I'd like to maybe speculate that part of the reason they're not willing to go here as much is because it's been much harder to defend once whenever a thermite is on the board. I feel like this site suffers as a defensive player, because getting that wall open quickly can be the difference between a successful attack and an unsuccessful attack on this map, and on this site. So perhaps that's part of it, and maybe with the bathroom defense, they're looking to sort of tone down the risk of a thermite being able to open sort of key walls, but that's got to be just one element of this, I suppose, and obviously having a good bathroom defense is part of why you would take your team to that site early on. But I wouldn't be surprised if they go back there again. It wasn't a bad defense. From what we saw, it was just that they lost a few key fights come sort of mid-round, and I think they can probably go back there again and maybe try it. But obviously right now we're on this Armory site, so we've got a strong CCTV hold here in the hands of centre half and Nico. Centre half just having that rotate open in CCTV so that he can maneuver between Shrine, 90 and CCTV itself. And Kingslayer holding this position between Sandwich as the dot. Looks like he manages to find a kill onto Robinchu and then falls back down, and that's a fantastic play there by the Doc. Completely able to set himself back up then with those stims as well. So one man down, and that's the thermite gone as well. Pretty big pick.
Yeah, for an office take, you really need both your exothermic charges, really, because unless there's a rotate into office, I'm not sure if we have one there, but I definitely think that you do need 2 exothermics to try and take this site as an attacker, because you need to be able to open up that archives wall to be able to get into that plant. So that's a really good pick there from Kingslayer. It's really going to be slowing down this attack, because they're going to have to rely heavily on Lucania and one-tap Heck doing a lot of work with their guns, and obviously a bit of utility as well. But it's going to take a lot for the attackers to bring this one and turn this one around.
Kingslayer just holding firm now in this 90 position. He loses his shield to one-step Hex lifeline there, but does mean he can still play this position, just not as aggressively. Takes a couple of shots there, but the earlier stim keeps him alive, and centre half manages to reply there with a pick onto Lucania, and that's your Ash gone. 3 versus 5 now for the attackers, and with 52 seconds left, they're going to need to apply some pressure perhaps to the Archives window, perhaps. That's got to be the opening I imagine that they want to find, but on-tap Tech taking down Nico, and that CCTV in control of the attackers now, so something gained there.
Yeah, and you still have one person in, I believe it's Concrete. Some people have different callouts for that, but there you go. There's a nade out. Doesn't actually hit. I think it does a lot of damage. But Legion underneath the hatch is gonna get a kill, or get at least down, and then Maisha's gonna finish it off. And well, Hufky finds two. It's all left down to one tap egg at the top of metal stairs. Smoke kind of left in the back pocket of Hufky's going to slow him down, and he has a lot of work to do. He does find one, that is Hufky the smoke. And well, he's not going to be able to find the last two remaining. Kingslayer finds the final kill of that round.
That was a pretty nice shot through that smoke onto the defender, but yeah, immediately refrabbed by Kingslayer, and so it didn't really mean much. Pangoro had a really rough time there as the IQ getting into sight. He sees his friend die, manages to refrag him through the hatch, then starts getting zapped, and then he gets killed. He played that pretty much perfectly as well. It was just that there was too many things to deal with, and eventually found 5 off, I believe it was, of Kingslayer. So yeah, tough time as they came in for that execute, but that's what happens when you're going in last 30 seconds and you've just got still a man disadvantage to try and cope with the defenders just unleashing hell on you from all angles, basically.
Yeah, and especially I said that those the guys still in concrete. The nade did go out from I believe it was Chris for a nade over there, but it just seemed like it wasn't the best nade. It wasn't timed. It wasn't droned, and obviously I know there wasn't a lot left. Well, that's definitely something you've got to deal with. Is that guy inside of a concrete, just inside of the archives window? If anyone's wondering where that is, by the way, and just next to the archives door, he was able to just throw his smokes around, and well, he's denied the metal push. Obviously, in the last few seconds, he denied the. He threw in a few smokes towards where the archives plant will go down. And the attackers, obviously, you can't really deal with smoke canisters unless you hit an amazing shot onto one in the air. But they are quite small objects, and they're moving in the middle of the air very randomly as well, because you don't know where the smoke's going to throw them from. And it seems like just a little bit of negligence from the attackers to try and get the control that they needed. They could have put someone on Archive's window, someone on Archive's balcony, on a little short balcony there, and well, they didn't, and they got punished for it.
That they did. So we have yet another attempt of this Vents defense. They did manage to hold it last time around Budapest 5 off the back of a pretty neat 2v3 clutch. But right now what we're seeing is office control being contended for here. Kingslayer holding inside of Archive itself with centre half just to the right of him inside of the shrine area, and attackers looking to make an ingress through office itself, and the centre half is going to be finding the opening pick there onto Lucania, and that's again your Ash gone. Nice little elevated position here that he made that shot from, and it looks like he almost finds a second as well.
The Ash down quite early on is, especially in the meta we're in now, that's a lot of damage that centre half have done there, because well, you know that you need Ash charges to destroy Maestro. And actually, Maestro board, so that's quite lucky for UX Gaming. But normally you would have a Maestro camps to deal with. Talking about dealing with Maestro camps, you'd normally see Sophia do that, but Sophia can also just shoot Kingslayer in the head, and now that's your dock down. That's quite a good pick, and also Pangora's going to find a pick onto Nico, and Nico kneecaps.
Rubinshu as well going and finding another defender there. That's 3 very quick kills, and suddenly it's all up to Budapest 5 to try and pull out another 2-man clutch, but this time they've got 4 attackers left to deal with. These spots coming out should help Hufky. He does have impact in hand, so he could go for a quick double throw onto any stationary defend attacker, but I dare say that they're probably wise to this potential play. He's going for a very sneaky position right here. If he goes undetected for the whole round, that could work for him, but doesn't at all. Enough. He's going to have his life cut short by Chris there. So centre half now with it all to do. He's got the worst gun in the game and the super shorty, which is quite nice, but we'll see if he can pull off some magic here as attackers have 33 seconds to locate him. He does manage to put down Rubinshu, who took the diffuser in, and there he takes out Pangoro as well. A triple kill on the round for centre half. Can he ace clutch this? 25 seconds left and time is on his side. He finds the sledge and now it's just a 1v1. Very winnable. The Deplant is going down by 1-tap heck in exactly the same location.
Way.
He has the angle. It's a 1-tap ace headshot from centre half and an incredible round from the castle. What a throw from UX, but my God, that was impressive.
That was insane. I have the worst gun in the game, Gio Lucania says in the chat. He appreciates centre half Then what a clutch indeed it was. A 1 versus 4, and he aced on the round. What a round for him. Well, that's an insane clutch, and especially on a site like Ventilation Workshop, where you so much control. If we're looking at it from UX's point of view, you really should be not losing that. Even if you didn't have any vertical control, it's a 1 versus 4. You should not be losing that. Really well played to centre half. He played his positioning, and he had the gun skills necessary to win that one out, and he did it. And that's the third round on the board for Budapest 5, and that was the first ace of the league so far. I've just been informed.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that I thought that might have been the case. I did miss out on the Enclave London game. I haven't checked out that VOD yet from Friday, but I didn't hear about an ace, so yeah, that's it. Nice one. Congratulations, I suppose, to centre half. And yeah, I suppose that clip's going to be all over Twitter and, and the Discord, etc. for the next day or so. So yeah, nice one.
Yeah, so like you said, that'll be his little claim to fame. People ask him on Twitter, "What have you ever done with your career?" And you'll just show this clip. He'll show his 1v4 clutch to ace, especially against UXs. But going back to this bathroom teller site, and it didn't really work out, but it could have just came down to maybe a few misses, maybe the defenders talking to each other. Obviously, we can't hear their communication. They must have probably just said to each other, well, this is actually thinking about it. It's actually the only site they can go to, I believe. Yeah, well, they can go to custom or and supply, but that's a site that's normally completely avoided now, especially with a thermite on the board. That's a tough one to hold.
Yeah, you're right about that. That jail wall and the passport control wall, very difficult to hold on to, and pretty much round that you have to concede as a defender if you're going for customs. So this bathroom hold perhaps the play, and it is the only site they've lost so far. UX Gaming looked pretty convincing in it. We didn't really get to see the flurry of kills that led to their success there, but it all happened around that archives location, and hopefully Budapest 5 will be able to slow them a bit up here in Armory. They did have to concede this ground last time quite heavily, and centre half himself had to bail out the window. So we'll see if they have a bit more success. And this Evil Eye, well positioned to deal with any drones, which is pretty important, and maybe an overlooked aspect of Evil Eyes a lot of the time. Don't just provide intel or deny plants, but those drones are so important to attackers. Kingslayer, though, going to be finding the opening frag onto One Step Heck, and that's at the top of East Stairs, trying to find out how exactly that angle was exposed. Oh, was it a run out? Based on the angle of the blood splatter, it looked like it was a run out.
It could have been a run out, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe from like from office window or
Yeah.
from archive store, but well, that's one we'll have to just speculate on for now because well, we don't have any intel on that. And centre half just playing close with the shotgun. A few pushes in, but Pangori not getting too aggressive, but they will have to at some point. Centre half, there you go with the shotgun, finds one, and Lucania actually refrags, I believe. And it was Rabinchu actually to refrag that one, but Lucania does get a kill in the mix of things onto Hufki. And well, Nico is going to be able to find the sledge, so it's Chris down, and it's all left down to Rabinchu and Lucania, who are both lost a lot of HP. So, but Nico also on about 50 HP. Oh, there you go, he's actually now dead. So it's left down to the Maestro, who has a very good gun. The Maestro has a very good gun. Castle not so much, but it's definitely in the favor of the defenders right now. It's about 32 seconds on the clock, and well, they seem a little bit unaware of positions, and the attackers are just stalling out.
Important to remember as well that this is a bathroom teller's hold, so the attacker's nowhere near the site right now, but that won't matter if Kingslayer exposes himself like that again. It's lucky to get away with it just that time, but Lucania has to now hunt him down, and this Alder position is going to rip through Lucania and also Rabinchu, both the Ash and the Thermite falling to the hands of the Maestro. Corvin with a nice little double piece and good positioning in that final approach.
Not gonna lie, I thought the Ash flicked him because we switched off as he shot his first bullet. I thought the Ash 180 flicked him, and I was about to go like mental. I think the Ash just hit the best shot of her life, but no, it was well played by Corbin on the Maestro with the Aldo, the 81 bullets. The holographic kind of works well for him there because well he has the close range sight, he had the close range fights as well. So the ACOG not really being a problem for why he was too strong.
Yeah,
That's just
I think
not there.
the general consensus is now that it wasn't the ACOG, was it? It's still just brilliant, no matter what. Um, it's funny, I was talking about this exact thing with Cherish on Border last Playday. So, yeah, he comes up now and then, definitely with that
Yeah.
order, especially on Border, it would seem. Um, and especially when you've got this typical mirror echo ban, he's going to be that power player that you expect to see with the intel, with the powerful gun. Um, but yeah, speaking of Defender Ops, we're seeing a Pulse being brought out this time around by Kingslayer. So yeah, I'm interested to see how they utilize this. Most likely, you'd expect him to be down here in this bottom floor playing vents, as we can see being highlighted here by the lovely Feed Machine, who's spectating for you today. Say hi. So yeah, he'll be looking to leverage those that C4 of his. Running the UMP, sometimes you see them bring even the Shotty if you're going to be playing pretty much from below exclusively, but UMP can still do some work from beneath. It's a good high damage gun, even though the fire rate is pretty abysmal. So yeah, shooting through floorboards can work out for you with that gun.
Especially if Pulse works really well when it comes to late round. The attackers haven't dealt with him and he still has a C4. If there's only 10 seconds left, it's not great if you just can't deal with him and you've got 10 seconds. You've got to try and get in for the plant or win the round by elimination and well in 10 seconds. If it's a Pulse downstairs, the chance of you doing that quite slim. So Pulse is something that you need to deal with quite early on. Otherwise, he will come back to haunt you. Late round, and he will C4. Like you'll probably see the sledge here very soon. Maybe just out of his range, but I'm surprised he isn't playing more towards the teller's side, just because we saw UX go for off his take last time, but looks like they've kind of read into them well, going for the armory wall. I
Oh,
think
this
I don't know whether
run
he's
out
seen
here.
I think he is. He's gonna run out. He might get shut down by the guy in the rappel, and he is. Well played. Good coverage there from Pangoro. From Pangoro. Oh, I can't say his name. Pangoro. Wait, what? Oh, Pangoro. Oh, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, he gets shut down
I've
by the
been going
IQ.
with Bangor.
Get shut down by
Sorry.
the IQ. That's fine. Get shut down by the IQ. And good coverage there anyway, is what I was trying to say.
Yeah, so an early lead here for UX Gaming on this round, and they desperately need it at a 4-1 at the moment. They do not want to be going into their defensive half at a 5-1 deficit. And centre half is going to be trying to rally back to make sure that that happens, and he finds one, he finds a second onto the Ash, just waiting to confirm that. He's got no bullets in anything, so bit of a delayed double kill there for him, but a nice one still, as there's no one nearby to refrag that Ash, and Husky's going to find one for himself onto one tap heck. Now we're left in a 2 versus 4, and that 5-1 split is looking ever more likely now for UX Gaming.
Yeah, 5-1, that's not a great split, and like we were saying before, this map can be quite even, especially with a thermite on the board. This map's pretty pretty evenly matched for which side it is. And well, the way it's going so far, and well, there you go, actually, and finished off there in seconds by Nico. And yeah, 5-1 split for Budapest 5. That's a really good split for them. And they also have attack to go. We'll have to wait and see. Oh, what a shot. A nice little
Absolutely
pre-fire.
nailed that pre-fire, didn't he?
Yeah.
So, yeah, good double kill at the end of the round to seal out the half for Nico. And yeah, Budapest 5 were pretty convincing on Border in their first play week, and it looks like they're just continuing that trend right here, right now. Yeah, I'm having a look at UX Gaming as well. They played Border last week and they got 7-0'd on it by Revenge. So this is clearly not their map, and it was actually their map pick as well this time around. So perhaps they have been working on it since, but expecting perhaps to be taken to it, or having the option to be taken to it even. But it's not showing right now. UX Gaming are still suffering a little bit from just a lack of, I want to call it a sort of a lack of lethality, really. There hasn't been any real rounds where it's looking like convincingly in their favor at any point, besides the round that they took on that bathroom attack, and then, of course, going into the 4v1 where centre half came up big and got that ace. It's been mostly Budapest 5 all the way, and they've been very good, especially Budapest 5, at sort of swinging an early advantage from UX Gaming. Their entries were pretty good. A lot of the time, UX Gaming did actually get that opening frag, but then immediately you'd see bam, 1, 2, 3, and suddenly Budapest 5 just have the round pretty much in their hands. And maybe that's something they need to work on, sort of following up on that early round advantage, maybe a little bit more work in the mid-round sort of phase and the calls that come out there. But right now we're seeing the armory hold that you'd expect for a first defense from most teams. UX Gaming going to be settling on this site, and they've got the Kaid being brought, an interesting pick.
Well, Kaid works a little bit better than a Bandit, I would say, when Thatcher's banned, because, well, Bandit, especially on this map anyway, because Thatcher, sorry, Sledge, or well, not Book anymore, because he's been having his nades taken away, but I was going to say, you could definitely get naded by, well, anyone, obviously, with the flag grenades, and, well, it's hard to Bandit trick Armory Wall, whereas we saw in the prep phase, we saw him put the Kaid underneath the wall, all the way into Ply Room, and that's going to be a really tough one, unless the IQ gets underneath there. There is no IQ on the board, so they're not going to get around there. Rubinchu's down there to cover that as well. I think on the board. That's on. Obviously, just brought that for the nades, which is something I'm confused by. And how does the Kaid win that? Well played to Rubinchu.
Wow. Scoreboard gets lit up there, and it's 2 each way, but Budapest 5, having that early disadvantage anyway, have now got 2 on the board against the 3 defenders. So still got the Ash, still got the Thermite, and plenty of drones on the Thermite and lots of time to work with. So definitely workable here, but Husky's going to be finding his triple on the round. He could be on course for an ace here as the Ash, and he's managed to push his way into sight. Doesn't have diffuser in hand, but Nico has stuck it. He is shut down though, just as the diffuser goes down. So Husky having to secure this in a 1 versus 2 post plant. So close to that peak there from One Tap Heck, but then baited into that fight. Rubinchu turning the corner up the stairs and finding the back of Husky, denying him that clutch potential. And that's a very nice retake by the 2 defenders, and the diffuser dealt with by the Kaid.
You could see the patience there from One Tap Heck. How close were they to each other? I can probably guarantee you now that One Tap Heck knew the guy was inside of Archives because of just sound. Also, we do know sound can obviously be can be a little bit bugged sometimes in this game. But I feel like that close One Tap Heck would definitely know that the Ash was there, and it was just a good showing of patience, waiting for Rubinchu to get up those metal stairs, and they peeked it together. You see One Tap Heck in a few shots from the wall, and then he'll forget to turn away to try and find that player. And well, that's when Rubinchu peaked. So really good retake, like you said. And can we just appreciate centre half having an insane game so far, going 11 and 5, I believe that said. Like that's really really good. Obviously, did get an ace on one of the rounds, ace clutch. Oh well, 1v4 clutch, but it was an ace in the end.
Yeah, that does help with the older stats, doesn't it, when you get that ace? But yeah, I think that was a fairly solid defense from UXM. Gives them hope going forward. They are going to be dropping down a floor now to this vents and workshop site. Still sticking with that Kaid, presumably to help hold on to the top floor with those electro claws. But we're also seeing Christ and Pangoro taking the Mute and Mozzie combo. And that should help them up here in terms of just delaying for as long as possible, keeping that top floor control in their hands. We've got plenty of C4s on the board as well, Chris, Rubinchu, and Pangoro. So if they do manage to stay alive into the late round, then that could be very influential from beneath and possibly into the site. Usually B's the one that you go for plants in, but yeah, it could be raining hell from beneath with those explosives.
I'm just going to mention one thing, by the way, again, about the recent patches. I don't know whether this is a bit controversial, but I don't like the fact that Mozzie's had his shotgun taken away, because they're trying to sway away from the Mute Mozzie meta, right? Well, if you take away Mozzie's shotgun, what do? You force yourself to bring a Mute. Talking about Mozzie, he's now on the floor, as he's just been shot by centre half, well played by him. He gets his 12th kill of the map. He's having an insane map so far, like we mentioned. But yeah, talking about this Mute Mozzie meta, the fact that they've taken away a shotgun basically is saying to people, you can either bring a Mute or a smoke. Obviously, you can bring a castle, but he isn't needed for a lot of the sites. So you're better off bringing a smoke and a mute, and then you're bringing the Mozzie as well, who people just play for the gun as well. And obviously, the drone denial helps, but Mozzie has two superb guns in the Commando and the P10 Rooney, and people are struggling for choice.
Yeah, he has a loadout that's pretty impressive, but One Step Heck is going to be flaunting that carbine, or at least he was toying with it there. But centre half managing to find the kill onto Chris, and now he is aware of the Jaeger very close by, but he has managed to rotate back in. No, he's actually going back through, and a fantastic shot there. Excellent game sense from One Step Heck to wallbang that player, and Lucania is going to be doubling down on that advantage now, or leveling it at least. It's a 3-3 now between these two sides in terms of operator count. Ooh, hasty run out there as well from One Step Heck, and he does get lit up somewhat, but barely a scratch really in the grand scheme of things. And now he's managed to make his way to East Stairs, so he can be a real threat from beneath now. Oh, Lucania with a fantastic headshot through the floorboards onto Corvin. Now he's just got Nico and Kingslayer, and they've managed to find their way into the top floor. Still trying to contend with one player in offices, and that is, I believe, Rabinshu on the Kaid. Sitting in the corner. He has been taken down now, though, by Nico, and it's 2 versus 2 for the final minute.
They start off really, really well for the defenders. Defenders getting a few early picks, but it's kind of swayed back into an even matchup, with probably swaying towards defenders. Defenders most likely to win it because of the time, and obviously have smoke canisters on the board, and obviously a great gun of that AR event of Jaeger, the 416 carbine. I can't speak today, but the attackers do want to turn it around. They have 25 seconds to try and take the site here. It's going to be close, but Lucania looks like he's playing close with the shotgun here. It's going to be a tough one for Kingslayer to take this fight. I believe he... Oh my god, so close. Lucania almost lost that, but well played to him. He gets the kill in the end. And Nico has to push in. He's going to get shut down by One Peck. And UX looking a lot stronger on defense than they were at attack, and they take the second round so far.
One thing that really frustrates me when I'm playing with my team, my mates, I don't have a team, I'm not good enough to have a team, but my mates, is when you get to the end of a round and it's like a 2 versus 2, and you think, well, we don't know where they are. Let's just go in and try our best. Kingslayer had 2 drones in his pocket. At least if the UI was correct right there. He had about 40 seconds left, 2 drones in his pocket. You don't know where the defenders are. At the very least, you've got to toss in a drone just for your teammates to sit on. Maybe throw it into vents, give them something to work with so that they can call the locations. Perhaps if he does that, then that swing from it was, I believe, who was it on the smoke? I can't quite recall.
Lucania, I think.
Yeah, Lucania. If he is called out as coming through that rotate at that exact moment, maybe Kingslayer wins that fight, especially considering the number of shots that were whiffed by the smoke. It was a bit of a scrappy fight, that one, but yeah, I've got to say that's a little bit of a misplay in my books, but maybe they just made the call. It was better to go in. Maybe they already had a drone in position. I don't know, but it was something that I just noticed in the last 50 seconds that I thought, well, surely you're going to be droning right now, but no, it didn't happen.
Yeah, I definitely believe I definitely saw Kingslayer throw 1 drone out from the armory. I think it's like sometimes the UI. I think it shows when the drones are out. I'm not 100% sure how the UI works. Obviously, we're still getting used to it. It's still pretty new. Still learning all the little things. I saw this actually in Pro League. I believe it was Milosh said it, that when you go into the full UI, if there's like a little white light underneath the defender or attacker's gun, you can see when they're able to use it. So you can see you can see underneath Hufki there wasn't a little white light. That's just showing that he isn't able to use his gun, probably because he was melee the CCTV does. Little things like that we're still getting used to, and especially the drones. It's still a tough one to get used to because it's completely new. It's a lot better than what we had before, is what we can say anyway.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and that little white line, I think it works for when they're sprinting or reloading as well. It's a nice little kind of subtle indicator that very rarely comes in handy, but it's yeah, a little extra detail that can help you out sometimes in the UI. And it is definitely a big upgrade for what we have before.
Yeah, props to Ubisoft for that one.
Yeah, nice. Props to Ubi. Oh, early C4 there, catching out Nico, and that's your thermite down, and your only hard breacher gone. not necessarily the biggest loss in this situation, I believe. Actually, maybe it is. I suppose they're still holding firm on this top floor, the defenders, and yeah, you don't want to leave anyone exposed to C4 early on, and even if it's just the gun that really matters at this point, there's still no reason to lose that person early on. Lucania as well, finding a second now. Hufkey going down, Ash off the board. As you mentioned in this method, that can be a big difference maker, especially with Goyo in the mix. You need those explosives to get rid of those Vulcan shields, and still the attackers having a lot of trouble trying to flush out these defenders from office. But I think we just saw Corvin dropping into sight right there. Doesn't have diffuser. Maybe he should do, but there's another one for Lucania, finding the head of center half. And despite Corvin's maneuverability and the fact that he's able to move his way in and out of the site at will, it seems, without that diffuser, it's not meaning anything. And this office hold is going... Oh, of course, it's not the site. I was under the impression it was a vent hold. My bad. Corvin does find a kill, though. Robinshu going down, and a little bit of hope here for these hackers.
UX seem a lot stronger on defense than they are on attack. They're just showing obviously why this map can go either way. It depends on your gun skill. We saw that UX definitely have the gun skill needed, but well, they're playing it quite well this round. They're the voice break, but they're playing it quite well this round. They're just holding their positions, not letting Budapest 5 take them to any fights. And Lucania could go down. He does, but obviously no points. But it sounds like Corvin knew anyway, as you can get a sound cue. But there's 15 seconds left, and Budapest 5 are going to have to make inroads towards the site, like we saw in the previous time that we saw Budapest 5 defend. Ourselves, what? What are you doing there? This is very winnable for the attackers, and Corvin just has to cover the cross. Could actually be seeing... Oh, what a play by One Tap Heck. It's actually the vertical play. That's why you've got to clear your top four, ladies and gentlemen. One Tap Heck able to just shoot the planter as he's just halfway through, and obviously got shut down by the Goyo shield. I'm not sure what Goyo shield it was, because
I think it was the one that we saw already detonated, and I think
he just walked
perhaps
into it.
Perhaps he just walked into it and sort of expecting it to dissipate a bit sooner. He was, I think, on low HP. There was some team damage exchanged between those two players as they tried to secure the kill onto the castle, which was a bit strange, but maybe just the nerves getting to them a little bit there. We're going to Armory Archives now, and like you mentioned, UX looking way more convincing on defense, and they've actually managed to pull this one back.
Yeah, Budapest 5 need to really take around here and put themselves on match point, because they're losing a lot of momentum, and well, UX Gaming are taking it from them and using it to their advantage. That was a 5 versus 2, by the way, I believe. Almost lost, but well played to One Tap Heck. I believe One Tap Heck actually got credited with that kill on Corvin, by the way, now I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, he did. He was the one to detonate the shield, so...
Well, police go, your shield's not dealt with by the attackers, and it just shows why you need to be fast with your attacks, especially in this new meta. You've got to be very fast to clear things out, and that's why you've got to be able to know what you're doing. We see the first bulk, I believe we've seen so far this game, and well, he hasn't got grenades anymore. We see Corvin using the flashes. It's a tough decision. I don't know whether the flashes or the claymore. I guess if you're planning on doing vertical work and then holding it on your own post plant, you'd probably bring a claymore. But then it's also good ADS clearing utility in the flashbangs. So it's a difficult choice. I guess it depends on round and your strategy as a team, and how you attack the site.
I suppose as well, the presence of the Nomad on the side of Budapest 5 means that those claymores not necessarily as vital with the air jabs in play, so that will help to an extent. And yeah, Corvin deciding that Buck is the way to go instead of, I believe they were bringing Sledge before, and he's just clearing that particular Electro Claw. That's a fairly common spot now to deal with that armory wall, but it looks as though One Tap Heck might have gone undetected here for the time being. Hufkey, though, off on his own doing work as the Ash, finds Chris Amp and Goro. Meanwhile, this duel's got to come to an end at some point down here between the Puck and the Jaeger. Such a tense moment, but... Oh, the Jaeger managing to back up the stairs at just the right time, but he's caught a little bit there, and centre half actually finishing him off there. Rubinshu putting one on the board for his team, but now he's left in a 1 versus 4. A centre half finds yet another in the name of Lucania, and this is not looking great for UX. They are on the cusp of conceding at least a draw right here to Budapest 5, and the diffuser has gone down. Nico managing to stick that, and Rubinshu coming up the stairs does find the head of centre half with a nice little shot there.
I'm just a little bit behind here. I need to skip it.
So,
yeah.
he's shut down there by the peak from Ash. Hufkey doing great work on the round with an early little 2-piece, and then following that up with the final crucial kill onto the cave. So, nice work, and Budapest 5 managing to secure themselves at least a point from this match.
I'll play the Budapest 5. They secured themselves, like you said, at least a point. Obviously, I'm just going to quickly mention that if you're unaware of how this league works, it's 2 best of 1s. It's a double round robin with best of 1s, but you play your 2 best of 1s instantly after each other to keep it down to a minimum amount of time. Just to explain to people how this works. So they're technically 2 separate games, but it's one big game with one map ban. It's a little bit not strange. It's just it's different to other leagues. I mean, it's a really good method, I believe, but it's just different to how other leagues are run.
Yeah, I think it's a very sort of competitively strong way of doing it. You know, a lot of people do complain about best of 1s in certain situations, like in Pro League, and for example, being able to play the 2 maps at the same time on the same day. You know exactly that this team is better than that team, or level with that team. These 2 maps, it's just a bit more data, and if you can manage it, and we've got a pretty nice team here at ACS that managed to pretty much get behind everything. Nice production, everything. I'm really, I'm going to be honest here. Like, I'm excited to be part of this. It's a great little community that we're building, and yeah, some good people behind it. So yeah, I think this is definitely the way to go for competitive viability and entertainment factor as well. I find it quite exciting watching best of 2s. So,
Yeah, best of 2s, I believe, are definitely more exciting to watch and to play for teams. So if you can give them that best of 2 feeling, but keep it to how you want, so in that best of 1 format, that's obviously the best way. So the way they've set out is great for players and watchers anyway. But we're going. But this little run out here, what an angle.
wow.
That is a texture problem. That is not for, well, I don't know. Obviously that's not down to me to decide, but that seems insane.
Yeah, I'm skeptical about that, like whether it's even known very widely or not. I don't think I've ever seen that personally, but I mean, I'm not the one to be peeking those windows that aggressively usually on a team, so I don't find out these things for myself. But here we go, a lot of pressure being applied to the armory itself, and that wall already opened up with only about 40 seconds down in the round. Pretty efficient stuff from Nico and co on that thermite. So now Nico himself getting on the board and doing an excellent job this round in both utility and frag, finding Rubinshu and clearing out that vital bunker position. So 4 versus 5 now for the defenders, and now it looks as though the call is to drop back to site, concede that top floor, and a couple of trades there coming out. Chris immediately being punished there, but finding C4 at least onto Nico. So the early fragger there shut down, or hard breach fragger, I guess the frag might shut down, and Angora left on a sliver of HP. Definitely advantage attackers here as we close in on a minute 20 for the round.
Attackers have dropped the bomb diffuser. Attackers recovered the bomb diffuser.
Yeah, so I've just that angle is actually used by pro players, so obviously we don't watch enough Pro League, apparently.
I'm just not a pro, yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully having to just waste a little bit of time to get the diffuser, but it looks like Budapest 5 are getting ready to execute on the site. It looks like they're getting their places hold up. Lucania is going to damage that by killing the Twitch. Twitch is something that we don't see a lot anymore. Her gadget just being a little bit... I'd say her gadget being buffed, as you can use it for more utility as CLC. She works like Echo now. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know whether Twitch has been buffed or nerfed. I feel like she's in a pretty common place where she's completely balanced. I don't think she's needed, but she's definitely a good operator to have in your roster.
Yeah, she occupies a kind of niche that counts as mirror, for instance, but Hufkey is managing to stick the diffuser, and that smoke just not being effective at all, completely ignored by the Ash, and looks like he's actually going to go for this quick defuse, but it's not working out at all. Hufkey has that angle covered, and now it's a 2 versus 5 in the post, or 2 versus 3 in the post plant, sorry. Pangoro on so little HP as well, and he gets shut down by Kingslayer. It's all up to one Tep Heck. Can he find one? No, he can't even do that. And that's a good half coming out in the chat as Budapest 5 managed to take Border a very clean and convincing 7-4.
Yeah, I don't think that smoke worked because, well, it was on the on the shelf. It needs to be on the floor next to the shelf, otherwise it won't travel through. You can see similar things happening on coastline. Is that like if you throw it just behind the billiards bar, if you throw it on the wall, it doesn't go through the wall because its textures are placed on the wall to come into the space. But if you put it on the floor, because of the way smoke canisters work, it will go like underneath kind of and go into the default plant. So just using that one slightly wrong there from the smoke from Lucania. But well played to Budapest 5, executing very, very quickly, very smoothly, covering their angles, and they won the round because of it. Centre half, obviously getting the last kill, being aware of one Tep X position.
Yep, very well played to Budapest 5 indeed. So it looks like we're going to be throwing to a short break, but don't go anywhere. We'll be back quite shortly with the next map, which is, of course, still UX versus Budapest 5, and they're going to be battling out on Clubhouse. So go get yourself a drink, and we'll be back very shortly. So we are back. Welcome to another map. We have Clubhouse ready for you very shortly, with UX just coming off the back of a loss to Budapest 5 uh, on Border. I'm Jerry the Music Man, in case you just got here, and I'm joined by the lovely CD.
Hello, and welcome back if you're returning, and make sure to stick around if you're new. Obviously, it's a great game so far. Like you said, 7-4 on Border. UX actually doing a little bit better on the defense than they did on the attack, but obviously not well enough. Well, it seemed like the attack, it was just too big of a gap in between rounds for them to claw that one back. They almost did, but they couldn't get the momentum enough.
Yeah, they actually managed to clean full rotation on the defensive half at the very start, and it looked like they might be coming back into it. They were 5-1 down at the split and then pulled it back to 5-4 after 3 defender wins. So pretty good stuff there, and it's definitely a sign of improvement from them, especially against a team such as Budapest 5, who have shown themselves to be pretty capable in this league and in others. So perhaps they found a little bit of form late in the day, and Clubhouse could be a surprising one.
Yeah, maybe. Clubhouse obviously last week was a 7-4. So obviously if we're looking at trends, they've improved by 4 rounds. So maybe we'll see them improve this time. You can hear that chime, ladies and gentlemen. You know what that means. It's time to go into the game. And we're gonna be playing Clubhouse. I'm gonna see the bans from each team right now.
Yeah, so Clubhouse, and I'm interested to see how Ying may affect this map, because there is a very set of bans for the attackers. Usually, you get the Maverick and then either a Capitao or a Thatcher. Potentially, it is in fact going to be Ying that Budapest 5 once again decide to ban out.
Yeah, they're obviously really not enjoying playing against that Ying, and honestly, I don't blame them. We mentioned this last map she has, but just gonna quickly skim through. There's 4 Condellas, 2 smoke grenades. She's just stupid. If we're gonna give her a label, stupid would be her label.
Yeah. That's not to say that she's no brain, really. Like, there is definitely
Yeah.
a sort of finesse to her playstyle. I mean, it is a bombardment of throwables, but there's sort of technical kind of what do I want to say? Not niches. When like a thing is niche, it's a I'm lost for words.
Oh
There,
wait,
there
when
are
it's like,
little details, I guess, about her, like the way she operates, her mechanics, I guess, that I guess can be sort of maximized, and we get to see that properly at this level. I mean, obviously because she's banned out quite often now, but I think there's more to her than just sort of rushing in and throwing the candelas wherever. So I'll be interested when we finally do see her make her way through a ban phase, and how well some of these players can utilize her, because it's definitely better than in my ranked matches. It's just a bit chaotic, but yeah, so Echo and Mira, once again, going to be banned out as well by these two teams. Clearly just not fans of those. Maverick as well, kind of the staple ban for Clubhouse at this point in time, I would say. Would you?
Maverick, I would say probably about 90% of the time, especially at this kind of level, it's banned out on Clubhouse. It's either a Maverick or a Thermite, so it's either one of those two hard breaches. Because with her banner, it's not the same, because you really do need 2 hard
Attackers need
breaches
to
on this
locate
map.
and defuse as many bombs
It's
as
just
they can.
needed, I would say. Most of the time, you'd see 2 hard breaches, and as we do this time by Budapest 5, just because of how many hard walls there are going to be, you need 2 hard breaches. So if you can take one of them away from the attackers, they're going to have a hard time, especially if you can destroy any of the pellets by Habano or any of the exodermics, so the bandit trick or a Kai trick or an impact trick. It's going to be hard. So this map probably going swaying towards a defender side is one because of the ban phase.
Yeah, definitely. And we're seeing UX
10
choose a
seconds to go.
lineup that involves only the 2 sets, or the 1 set of 2
5
impact
seconds to
grenades
go.
from Christ on that Legion. So not much in the way of hatch denial.
Attackers are
Obviously, no
moving out to
Kaid as
locate a
well
bomb and
on
defuse
their
it.
lineup. So it looks like they might be kind of conceding that as a kind of thing where they expect the attackers to probably get it with those bans. Thatcher's still available as well, so not too much point in bringing the Kaid constantly. So yeah, a little bit yeah, I just lost all of my words. A little bit of investment in that potential denial from the Legion, but it looks like he's playing fairly aggressively, hunting for these initial picks, but he would be wise to fall back because, of course, he's more valuable as the round progresses with those goo mines accumulating over time.
Yeah, we saw both teams play very aggressive early on. Border, like especially a few rounds, we saw that nice little angle one Tepec was using on the archives on the office window, my bad. And they're just trying to. Both teams seem like they kind of want that early pick, like they need that early pick to get them going into the round. And especially on a new map, you want the first pick as well. Obviously, you want all the first picks, and obviously not to lose any. That's the ideal scenario, but that's not gonna work out. And there's that impact trick not working out. So Legion uses both his impacts really early on, and that means that it's going to be a free church wall for the attackers. Talking about Habana getting hatches, she's also going to find a kill onto Pangoro, and they should go down. That's a great gun of the TCSG, recently nerfed, but it's still a very strong gun because of, well, it's a shotgun, and it's got an ACOG.
Yeah, Pangora really placed his trust in those impact nades working out for his protection, and they just didn't. But at least now Lucania has managed to down Hufkey. Looks like he's a bit too far away around a couple of those elbows of the tunnel to be able to finish him off, but he is picked up and then immediately dispatched with by Lucania just in the nick of time. Looks like he might have managed to escape that there, being rezzed by his teammate, but doesn't survive. One Tepec managing to find center half as well, and immediately refragged, and Corvin as well adds onto that list. So Budapest 5 now in a 3 versus 2. Corvin holding diffuser just above kitchen hatch. You can expect to see an armory plant fairly soon, but looks like he's actually rotating down to main stairs. Nico holding this passive angle, expecting the peak from the dock, but it's not going to come through from Rabinchu just yet.
I feel like you could definitely trade out that Doc for a Kaida or more impact. Just throwing out there now. I feel like Doc hasn't really brought much to the table. Actually, he does. He's going to find a pick onto Nico. Coleman's going to have to try and plan. It looks like a black box plan. A nice shot from Kingslayer on the coverage. He's going to have to try and find another one onto Rabinchu. Rabinchu now post-plant. 1 versus 2 against a Thermite and a Sledge. Both ACOGs. I guess he has an ACOG himself, but it's going to be a very tough one to come back from.
Rabinchu was just trying to find that pixel angle from blue, but couldn't nail it. He's shooting through the box now, or the bar, and doesn't quite land enough shots at range. That MP5 plus the damage drop off and the softening impact of that desk, just protecting Kingslayer there for long enough to find the dock in response. And a good push there from the attacking side of Budapest 5. Didn't look like they were going to find that initially. It was a bit of a stall out for a bit, but the call to come down main and go for that church push, definitely the one, because it was completely empty, and rather than going for that armory drop, finding themselves presented with 2 defenders to worry about, they just went for the gap in the defense.
Yeah, and Rabinchu had to go show me up there by me saying that the dock isn't doing much work, and then he goes and finds a kill. He had to go show me up like that, but I still stick to my guns that you could easily trade that the dock out for a Kaid, and you could easily still do a lot of work. And I feel like even if it just slows down the attackers by another 15 seconds is all you need to win that round. But I don't know. Obviously, I'm not in that position. Maybe they needed the dock for something else, whether it's barbed wire or something along those lines. I'm not sure whether Kaid has barbed wire. I don't think he does. So maybe that's why. Obviously, we don't know.
Yeah, it's always difficult to speculate completely on the operator selection, but Doc does speak to a slightly more selfish mindset in a lot of cases. There's always someone that you can bring with a bit more kind of team utility, shall we say, rather than a kind of, the selfish utility of a stim pistol, which can be helpful for the teammates, but is usually very situational. So just going to be moving on now to a cash defense, and we've got Pangoro and One Tepec both playing on this middle floor. Bit of an extended roam, a deep roam there from One Tepec, while Pangoro is holding onto the lounge as the Valkyrie with those C4s ready to try and hit any default planter as they come through. But of course, before they do that, they've got to get in, and Rabinchu is going to be doing his darndest to make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I feel like that extended roam from one type Heck doesn't really do much. You would expect maybe a maybe Pangoro, if anything, to be doing that extended range, so it's harder for the kill him. I believe that was one exit thermic charge being caught up by the bandit trick there. Rabinchu could definitely get back, but I believe he was Zofia stunned. Well played, they got the wall, but I don't know if Corvin has another exothermic, so it's all going to be down to left of the Habana for any more hard breaching potential.
Yeah, and what's important about that is that it leaves construction fairly secure, at least from the Thermite's perspective. Of course, the Hibana being on the board does make a difference, but you can probably play a bit more safely inside of Cache itself, knowing that it's only going to be X-Kairos opening up the wall potentially later on, and not a massive Thermite breach. So,
Exactly.
Chris is holding this catwalk position. We see it quite often now, and he's got the MP5K, which is an interesting choice considering it's not as good at range as the AUG, but and most of those gunfights you're taking on the catwalk are going to be rangy ones. But each to their own, I suppose.
Yeah, I know the AUG definitely fills up a lot of the screen. It's a very large gun on the screen, so maybe that's the reason behind that one. But like you said, I believe. Oh, doesn't matter. Chris, I always, man. Whenever I say something, they always show me up. Well played to Chris though, and he's actually gonna shut down. Nice little Habana hole coming out there. That's something that you don't see a lot. Is actually obviously that reinforced wall being opened by a Habana. Normally see the Habana go straight to construction. So nice little adaptation from Budapest 5 to use their utility in the way that is needed. And obviously they're in potential for a default plan here. They've got 40 seconds or 35 seconds ish to try and work on this. And well, they definitely have the utility available. You still have a sledge, I believe, with maybe 1 nade, 2 nades. I'm not 100% sure. And I was going to say, well, the defenders have a smoke on the board to slow you down, but not anymore. Lucani is taken down. And Corvin's going to plant right on the breach. This is what we saw something Nip do at the Invitational, because it's better than crossing across past that red stairs. And the coverage coming out, and the C4 from Rabinchu. There's that C4. But now, the attackers are going to have to try and plant. 5 seconds remaining. One step back, trying to get close. They believe down to Kingslayer, so it's all left down to Nico. And he's also going to be shut down by one tap heck. A great retake from the Jaeger to take the first round. Sorry, the second round for his team. No, I'm an idiot. It's 1-1. Getting a bit ahead of myself.
That's cool. Yeah, so a good clutch out there by one type heck. Nice work on the Jaeger. And like you said, it's a definitely a option to go for that breach plant. But you had to be worried about the potential C4 play from beneath, and especially with the Valkyrie, that's essentially that optic is pretty much what won them that round. There was no checking for the cams. They didn't have the IQ in the lineup, so you can only assume that there was a black eye position somewhere in that room. There are so many potential locations for it. We didn't get to see exactly where it was, and of course, that's something that Budapest 5 are going to be worried about next time around, is that they don't know where that Valkyrie hid the cam, and they may well take the IQ to potentially try and deal with that for their next attempt at the cache site. But UX having won it means that they're going to go back down for a second go at Church.
Normally, you'd see a full rotation on Church Arsenal, CCTV, gym, bedroom, but obviously this site's available. It seemed like the first time it was it just came down to like people giving away their lives a little bit too easily for UX. Like they just peaked a little bit too aggressive. Pangoro really dependent on Chris to impact trick the hatches. He's bought his own impact grenades. He's not trusting his team anymore. I'm sure he still does, but he'd rather do it himself. That makes a lot of sense. That means Legion can use on the church wall, and that's where the attackers came from last time, was the church wall, and they planted behind the black box. So if they can deny that breach, that gives the defenders a lot of positions they can play inside of church.
Yeah, Pangoro is also taking it into his own hands here by bringing the impacts himself. I believe he was on the Goyo. Was he on the Goyo before? I can't remember. Either way, if he was, he wasn't taking impacts. So he wants to have a bit more security in his own hands, I guess, making sure he can keep that hatch safe for himself. Centre half finding the opening frag, though, onto One Tep Heck does not spell anything good for the defenders, especially with One Tep Heck having performed quite well so far this map. And Pangoro finds the first set of X-Kairos. He should be able to find the second quite easily. This is something we see quite commonly from Hibanas now, just baiting out as many of those X-Fire or impacts as possible. But the third set coming out there from Chris, presumably now, denies the third set of X-Kairos. And that's going to be all of Hibana's utility completely wasted. She's just a gunner now.
Yeah, and this is what we were expecting from UX, is a hatch easily take this round, because, well, it's like what we saw was that Pangoro lost his life to the hatch, and it kind of, if you open up kitchen hatch, you deny pretty much the whole of the Arsenal Armory site, and it's pretty much hard for you to retake that. But now the fact that the hatch has been denied 3 times, the attackers are going to have to come blue, which you can see Centre Half doing here, or from just inside of dirt. Tony might be able to see Lucania's feet, but Rabinchu on the docks actually is shut down, and Corvin's going to find one of his own onto Chris as well. Pangoro is going to find one though, and Kingslayer is taken down. Look down to Lucania and Pangoro again, but Lucania is very low HP. It's going to be very tough to him to find anymore.
Yeah, that's a tough position for the smoke to be in. Pangoro does find one of his own, but immediately replied by Huffkey finding the smoke, and now it's a 1 versus 3 situation for Pangoro. He doesn't see the player in blue, and that centre half doing his duties as the flank hold essentially at that point. Good lockout from Budapest 5 after they take control of Armory, and a solid round, a solid attack on the board there. They now lead 2-1.
Yeah, and I feel like there's just a bit too much, not over aggression. I don't know what it is. Obviously, it seems like a little bit of over aggression, but it's kind of needed aggression. You could see Rabinch, I believe, on the dock again, kind of peeking the guy in oil pit when he probably could have just sat there and held oil pit. But I'm not 100% sure, obviously, of the situation. I'm not sure what was happening. It's a lot different for us than it is for the players. They make their own decisions based on their communication, what the IGL tells them to do sometimes, and obviously, yeah, like I was saying, it's tough for him to peak.
Yeah, I mean, it's always tough when you lose that many in the early round. Basically, I think they did quite well to deny that hatch, and that was a shame of them because they played it well from a sort of strategical and utility focused standpoint, but that just didn't transfer into a round win at all. And they, yeah, certainly there was a bit of overpeaking going on. The dock, for instance, stands out as a key loss. That's such an important position, and to have that wall open and to actually sort of invite that aggression and sort of basically say, come at me, from oil pit. You've got to win that, really, because that's a bit of a gamble in terms of the setup, and we kind of undid their hard work with all that nice impact tricking, I think. So we're going to be seeing a gym defense now as UX look to mix up a little bit because they've been to church already, they've been to cash already. They can't go back to cash yet, so it would either be, go to church for yet another attempt at a site that you haven't won yet, or mix it up. And we're seeing Rabinchu is going to be playing an important part in this round, trying to deny that jacuzzi wall.
It seems like a very unconventional take from the attackers. They're trying to do everything through this drone hole, but this shield just isn't getting destroyed. And obviously, it doesn't matter if you're gonna. Yep, there you go. If Rabinchu isn't gonna be able to trick that wall, so unconventional, but working in Kingslayer on the coverage, not letting Rabinchu to run away. That's really well played. That's really well timed. You can tell that was definitely planned for Kingslayer to wait until the bandit ran away. And well, it worked out for them. Well played to Budapest 5, and especially Kingslayer.
Yeah, so that was a veritable bombardment of attacker utility there, and it just caught out the defenders. Lucania are going to be taking a bit of flak there from the hatch, but escapes with his life as a second exothermic charge gets placed on Bathroom, and that makes a real dent in the defender's setup. Kingslayer rolling a nice frag in there to find Lucania, and that's a Goyo gone. Just left with 3 defenders on the board. One Tep Heck going to be coming up these main stairs, looking to hunt for a pick. He's almost caught out there on the flank hold, but he manages to worm his way into office. He isn't aware of the player inside of Closet, who's managed to open it up, or has been opened up anyway by the defenders. Another falls for UX is all going to hell in a handbasket for them. Pangoro with about 15 HP can't land a single shot onto Nico, and that's a very clean push there from Budapest 5. So well executed onto Jim.
That was a really nice collapse by Budapest 5. They just seem to always know where you are, and that's so annoying to play against as UX. Is that the attackers always seem to know where you are. Little bit of decision making really going against UX there, like Lucania especially in logistics, taking a lot of damage because he was trying to shoot a drone when you know there's at least going to be one person at least trying to follow up that drone. I'm obviously, again, I'm going to say a lot. I'm not in their position. They know what they're doing. I don't. So I'm not in a team. They're a lot better than me at this game. So obviously their decision making is based differently than what I would say. But I feel like you shouldn't, especially in that position where you're so open to someone on the hatch, you shouldn't be trying to shoot a drone. You should just kind of
Locate and defuse bombs.
at least 120% sure that it's safe. But he didn't. And that gym bedroom site not working out for them. So they're going back to the cache, the only site that they've actually, the CCTV and cache, sorry, the only site that they've actually won so far. And again, it was very close that round as well. That could have easily went the other way. So not looking great for UX, but looking pretty sharp for Budapest 5.
So, Pangoro rocking the Valkyrie yet again. He's going to be hoping that that C4 play can be just as effective a second time round. Rabinchu as well on the Bandit. It's worth noting, if he takes that C4, once they do get that breach open, he can join Pangoro down the stairs. Maybe you quite often see the Bandit repositioning to the sort of typical red stairs anchor position, probably the deepest anchor position on this site in particular. But as long as the attackers don't have full control beneath, then that's always an option for them to sweep in below. One Step Heck going to be finding yet another kill for himself in this match, and that's a cheeky little run out, punishing Hibana for a bit of complacency there. It's always one you have to watch out for on a cash hold, that long, deep strip club roam. It's going to be able to punish anyone that's in that long stretch of open wasteland, essentially, for between garage and strip itself. So that's your Hibana gone. A pretty big pick, and now Corvin's going to have to be especially careful with his utility to make sure it's maximized here. Only 2 exothermic charges for him and his team.
Yeah, a great pick from One Step Heck, like you said, onto a Hibana. It's just I'm not sure what the Hibana was really doing, whether it was a run out. I couldn't really see, obviously. You see we're having a few issues with clean feeds and stuff because of a quarantine internet, but they're doing a good job again this wall anyway. Budapest 5, you can hear that goes off pretty swiftly. They make quick work of it. But yeah,
One
that's
Step Heck managed to
push.
find the sledge as well in that time, so another big pick for him. And Corvin's being lit up through the breach, which had been successfully opened, but Budapest 5 under the cosh right now is UX basically look like they can defend cash especially well, but still winnable for the attackers. They've got three players left on the board. No drones besides perhaps the stationary flank drones or preset drones by the 2 dead players, from what the UI can tell us. Oh wait, no, we've got Corvin with 1 drone on the board, so still something there, but it's going to be tough to find 5 with only that much of intel. Nico has managed to find his way into sight, and meanwhile Lucania is shutting down center half at range. Nico gets 1 for his troubles, but is immediately refragged by Rabinchu as the Bandit, and now Corvin in a 1 versus 4, 30 HP, no stuns, and only a drone, and that gun 5.56 to work with. 30 seconds left thereabouts, and this is pretty much the UX gaming round unless they really hand it to him right here.
Yeah, they're showing that they can, like you said, they can definitely defend this CCTV and cache site, but this site's nothing without the other 2 main ones, and there seems like a little bit of lack of knowledge, and I'm pretty sure Corvin looked at One Step Heck there, and then just kind of looked away. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did, and well, it probably wouldn't have mattered that much because there was still 3 other defenders to deal with for the thermite, and it would have been tough one, especially with the time available.
He just wanted One Step to get the top of the scoreboard, right? That's the sort of selfless sportsmanship that you expect from a team as good as Budapest 5.
That must have been it. He must have
Yeah.
thought, right, I want to give him a kill. I'm not going to shoot him. That's mean. That'll hurt him. Let's
It was a
not
good,
do that.
it was a good 3k on the round for the Jaeger as well. So One Tech Peck doubling his kill count for this match. The 6th pick from Zofia to Zofia, big brain play from Nico. You love to see it. And Clash being brought out by the defense
Attackers
here.
need to locate and defuse bombs.
The biggest brain play. But the Clash is actually something that we haven't seen a lot of. Because normally seen as a worse operator because of how easily she's dealt with. But sometimes it can work against you thinking how easy she is. Because you kind of neglect it until late round. You think, right, let's not deal with the Clash. Right now, let's leave until the end of the round, and that's where it really hurts you, where the Clash is able to just shock you, and you're not able to even get close to her. And we've seen rounds, especially in high level, where she's been last one alive in like a 1 versus 2, 1 versus 3, and because she can slow down the closest guy to her, they're not able to get into the site, and they're not able to plant, and she's won 1v3s without even pulling out a gun.
Locate and defuse a bomb.
So she's definitely a strong operator at the late rounds. Not very good early on, but she definitely, like Legion, you could say, her value increases as the time passes by.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also see her as somewhat. I mean, she is capable of these, incredible 1v3 clutches. It's a rare sight to see, but it's definitely possible. I usually think of her as a kind of win more operator, whereby if you get that early round lead, and then you also have the Clash on your side, you've got so much more strength going forward, and it turns rounds that might be on a sort of a knife edge. Ooh, cheeky little peek there from Husky as he worms his way into kitchen and finds Angro. But as I was saying, he turns rounds that were on a knife edge into ones where the defense just hold it solidly. One Tech Peck manages to reply onto centre half, and that's the Thatcher gone. They keep killing people while I'm trying to talk about Clash. Why would they be like that?
So disrespectful.
Bomb has been
It's
located.
inconsiderate, isn't it?
Yeah. It's like they can't hear us. I don't know. It's like they can't hear us. They can't. Hopefully they can't anyway. Hopefully they should be focusing on their game. But you can
Husky,
continue to talk about Clash.
push inside of sight and kill someone. Oh, he didn't do it. Maybe you can't. Alright, so One Step Peck spraying a couple of shots there through... oh, this should be an easy pick here for Lucania as he's spraying up through the floor, lights up the... oh, he didn't even hit him. No. All of the floorboards... Oh, no, that was Corvin above. And yeah, Husky finally listens to me and pushes in and gets the Clash down. So, 4 versus 3 now for the attackers. Corvin was lit up there on Kitchen, so unfortunate not to get that pick. Ooh, nice angle being held there by Rabinchi on One Tech Heck, rather. Manages to slay Kingslayer himself, and now we're at a 2 versus 3. Nico in a good position to try and sneak in and get a couple of kills here. He could actually make his way all the way into Armory and go undetected. Corbin has managed to drop, but Nico finding a kill onto One Tech Heck, shutting down that Jaeger as the diffuser starts to go down from Corvin.
That's a nice pick as well. And obviously the diffuser going down, the diffuser gets planted. And it's tough for the defenders to win this one out. Corvin has to try and take down the last 2 remaining defenders, who are both low HP, but Rubincho on the dock just going to quickly heal himself up. And that's the power of the dock. He's back to pretty much full HP. It doesn't matter, because it's going to be Christopher on the kill in the end anyway. Unlucky for... On 3-3. But it's a bit of damage limitation there, as they take the 3rd round, and they finally win this Church Arsenal bomb site.
Yeah, it's about time. They were struggling with this, and it's an interesting setup with that wall open for head level shots, but they managed to make it work eventually, and it was definitely a very close one there. I think so unfortunate for Corvin as well, not landing any of those shots to the head of the dock, because obviously he was probably aware of the Legion's location. That's a sort of common sort of like double push that you try and do when you're retaking that particular position that's held by Rabinch, or by the Thermite rather. I think I called him Rabinchu because I saw Thermite and just thought Rabinchu, but yeah. So oh no, I said Corvin. I didn't say Rabinchu. Corvin was the Thermite. I'm double guessing myself today a lot. Apologies, but yeah. He could have found that Legion had he landed the shot on the dock, but just a couple of missed shots there, and eventually he fell. So we're going to be switching up to sides now, and Budapest 5 coming down to the basement. Once again, we see one set of impact nades in the hands of Nico this time round, and he's going to be the only one who can deny those hatches. Corvin, interestingly, going with a bandit rather than Kaid, clearly prizing that church wall as a point of security for the defense. So,
10 seconds
and
to insertion.
also interestingly, he's running the M870.
5 seconds to insertion.
We saw this last time, I think, on Border. He ran the M870, and
Have to locate a bomb and
I
defuse it.
guess that makes sense if you didn't have a smoke on the board, but you do. Doesn't
And
really
you've
make
got
much sense. Yeah, and you've got the
It's the
Go-Yo and
Go-Yo
Maestro.
running off the TCS. Yeah, there's so many sources of self-destruction. Maybe it's just a particular position he wants to hold, or just familiarity with that gun. But you know, you're turning down the MP7 for that, so it's always a tough choice. I mean, I know it seems a bit unfair personally that the Jaeger and Bandit have one of the best shotguns in the game, but then they also just have these incredible fully automatic weapons that rarely get turned down for that shotty. So centre half going to be rocking one of those fully auto weapons up here in cash. A very, very deep roam for this site, especially without the assistance of your sort of typical SSG strap roamers of the Mozzie, the Mute, whatever. So he's just basically out here on a limb trying to hunt for kills and waste as much time as possible. He's getting actively droned right now as well, just holding this angle, expecting the push to come through from construction, but it's actually going to be Chris just lighting him up there as the call comes that he's basically a sitting duck, and that's about 1:20 wasted by the Jaeger, but I'd say that's probably not the most optimal use of his strengths.
Yeah, and especially with the roam, obviously time wasting is a roam's main goal is to waste as much time as possible. But really, as a Jaeger with such a great gun, you want to at least doing some damage. As you can see, he has done
A bomb has been
0
located.
damage to any of the attackers. Yes, he got wallbang, you could say that, but you've like as a roamer, you've got to be really aware of your positioning at every single moment. And it didn't seem like centre half was aware of his position nor the attackers. And I don't know. It seems like he did his job at time wasting, but he didn't get any frags, which were desperately needed. As now the attackers have plenty of time to do their jobs that they needed to do.
I suppose you could say he was pretty much dead in the water anyway, so just playing time and not going for any aggressive peaks does kind of guarantee that time-wasting aspect. But Nico going to find one of those sets of X-Kairos. Can he get the second is the question. Doesn't sound like he did. I'll have to see there properly. It was in the kitchen, I believe. Yeah, they did manage to get the kitchen hatch open, and Moto is open too. So all of these hatches now possible entryways for the attackers. Flash is coming over the wall here as an attempt to open church wall is happening right now, but Chris finding his second on the round as he pushes through blue. Corvin responding onto one step Heck though, and here we see the M870 coming to its own. He finds one, but he can't find the second. Nico shuts one down off screen as well, and now it's a 1 versus 2 as Kingslayer cancels out kitchen drop. Rubinshu sticking the plant by black boxes, but Kingslayer only has to round the corner to find the head of the thermite, and that's Budapest 5 sitting out in a pretty explosive end to that round. Scoreline is 4-3. Sorry, it's not. Is it? Yeah, it's 4-3. I'm correct. So, pretty convincing stuff there from Budapest 5. They had, or no, sorry, from UX Gaming. Oh, that's what confused me. Okay, yeah. UX Gaming won that round, not Budapest 5. Apologies there. Oh my goodness, what am I doing? Help me out here, CD. I'm saying all the wrong things.
It was actually Budapest 5 who took that round.
There we go.
It's been a long few weeks really, and few
Yeah.
months.
Yeah.
In that note, stay inside, people. I've seen people outside. Just saying this midstream because it's a pet peeve of mine. Stay inside. How hard is it?
Defuse bombs.
Like if you have a job and you're getting paid like a salary, you're getting paid to stay inside. Stay inside. But anyway, let's talk about like the game right now.
Yeah.
Budapest 5 going to be going to the CCTV and cache site, which we saw UX do pretty well on. So yeah.
Well, Pangoro is bringing that IQ because they know the impact that any potential intel on the site can provide, but we don't actually have any of that from the defenders. There's not even, well, we have one deployable camera in the hands of centre half. It's always satisfying as a Jaeger once you've set up all your utility, knowing that you're basically just a free gun. Usually you'd see that deployable camera go down inside of garage, though. It'd be interesting to see if it was located perhaps in cache. I didn't see it get set, but if they want to be denying the plants, they do have C4 in the hands of Husky and Nico, so perhaps that bottom floor presence might be part of their strat, but they don't actually have anyone down there right now, so I'm assuming that it's basically a full turtle right here with centre half, the lone roamer himself downstairs. And in fact, Nico has the impact, so yeah, not an option for him to try and play from underneath, really. I mean, we have seen actually double impacts work out, and with the go-go shield set up, that can also be pretty lethal, so he does have that option, I suppose. Bringing the suppressor as well on the Vector, not really the common setup with that, but we'll see if he makes it work, I suppose.
I've seen that suppressor a few times. It's great because you wouldn't expect it to be used, because you would say the Vector has a pretty not high recoil, but it's a bit bouncy, and obviously the suppressor adding recoil. But Rabinchi Thermite going to be taken down in the meanwhile, and that's quite a big pick. As I know you've got the wall open, but that's kind of, well, that's it for your Thermite anyway. No more exothermics going off.
Bit of deja vu as well from the last time we saw this site played, but on the other side, by the other team. Hawantep Heck still holds those X-Kyra, so they do have the option there. Cheeky little angle here, protecting Lounge, and a couple of other vertical angles. Kingsley getting his second kill on the round there with the MP5K. It seems to be preferred by both these teams for the my hold up there, and Chris is finally going to put him down, and that catwalk gone for the defenders. So pretty important ground conceded now, and Chris can begin to make his way up there for himself.
By the way, that was the extended barrel. We just appreciate how much that looks like a suppressor. Please
wow, okay.
Please don't hurt us. That's that's insane how much that looks like a suppressor. But yeah, that doesn't really matter right now. As you said, they've conceded garage, and well, you saw Budapest 5 when they were on the attack tried to go for a plant close to the breach, but that's not going to be possible when you have Nico playing behind the shield. Yes, you have Cursed. Oh my god, I can't speak. Chris playing just close garage, but it's gonna be a tough one for the attack to take either way. It's gonna help when Crust. Oh my god, Chris walks in and finds a pick. Corbin in centre half finding refrags though, and it's all down to one tap Heck, and he's gonna be shut down by the M59 of Corbin. Well played, good hold, good retake. I'm really struggling to say names today. I call him Crust. Cursed. Like Elon Musk, like Elon Crust and stuff like that. Have you seen that meme? That's hilarious.
No.
Elon
the
Crust.
pizza meme.
No, it's like bread. It's like Elon Crust, bread Sheeran.
Oh wow.
It's the funniest thing in the world. And
I'm
they like
pretty
Photoshop their faces onto the bread.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure there's like a meme of Elon Musk eating pizza. I don't know if that's like I'm conflating a couple of different memes in my head, but I'm pretty sure there's like a famous picture of him doing that, and that's what I thought you were talking about. But whatever. Anyway, back to this game. We've got Pangoro switching from the IQ to the Ash. Wasn't particularly useful in that round because the lineup being brought by by Budapest 5 doesn't seem to rely on the usual things that you'd expect to counter with an IQ. Those Black Eyes, namely, they perhaps took it in anticipation of a similar kind of setup as their own, and then maybe seemed a bit surprised that there wasn't actually any kind of C4 from beneath happening. A lot of that retake relied on some pretty quick gunplay. Basically, it seemed as though they weren't expecting as many defenders on the top floor as there were when it came to that site push. Basically, we had a pretty impressive showing there from the smoke, swinging around, playing that sort of top of top of red stairs position.
Attackers
And
are moving out to
yeah,
locate a bomb
I
and
really
defuse
thought
it.
that was going to go the way of UX. It looked like they had everything going for them come the execute, but we didn't get to see as much as we'd like to for the kills. But it was pretty much uh, just a good play there on the retake by Budapest 5. We're going to see now UX rushing in through bathroom and catching center half off guard, risk finding that kill, but obviously deciding that probably not the play to continue up those stairs given that early death, and they've got what they wanted. It's an early advantage. Now they can continue with a sort of more default strategy, opening up these walls, pressing into gym itself and the sort of bathroom hallway with that early advantage instead.
Yeah, they definitely got what they wanted. It wasn't exactly, it wasn't the correct German, but it doesn't really matter because, well, he found the Jaeger as well. It's a great gun off the board. And centre half, well, it looks like he was going towards a strip club, maybe for a little run out. So, well, you shut that one down pretty early on, and he wasn't even near it. So, well played to Crust apparently for that one.
A well-placed jammer that they're denying the X-Kairos, and the thing that really burns about that is that you can't retrieve those. So that's one set of X-Kairos completely denied by Corvin. And yeah, that's a bit of a loss there in terms of utility for UX, but they've still got this early advantage in their favor in terms of man count, and a bit of pressure from Cash is going to make sure. Oh wait, no, they haven't gained control of Cash yet. Nico's still holding on to that as the Kaid, and he's fully aware of this player, expecting him to repel. They've got this wall open up to see all the way to the gym, which is pretty impressive in terms of the hold. Kingslayer finding Pangoro, and that's your Ash gone. So presumably one of the sort of top fraggers there for their team, making sure he's gone is a big difference maker in the early round.
Yeah, we haven't seen Pangoro show up this game, and shutting him down early on is well played to be the best 5 for that one. But there's only 50 seconds left, and it doesn't look like there's much really going on right now. It looks like the attackers are trying to get rid of this the bandit inside the bathroom. A little push up in the hallway. Doesn't look like it's going to be continued though. But yeah, Lucania, and they're going to still be trying to get gym control. Lucania's actually sat on the main stairs, so the push up did get continued. It just got pushed onto a position of hold. It looks like the attackers have really stalled out here. They're really playing on picks. And talking about picks, once our packers are going to find Corvin, Babinchu can walk in, and so Lucania, he's going to find a kill onto Kingslayer. Now Nico has to try and clutch up the 1 versus 4. TCSG, it's possible, but he's not going to find one. And once a peck, finding the last kill of the round. That type 89, type 21. I can't do. Oh my god, what am I talking about? Well played by him.
So it looks, I'm not quite sure if we can see whether, look, okay, I think it looks like we're going for a rehost due to some ping issues. So we'll just be throwing to a very short break screen potentially to make sure that we can get that back in action. And we can talk maybe a little bit about that round and what just happened. So it was a very convincing it was a very convincing push, definitely uh, from UX there, and they've drawn it level. Or have they? No, that was I've misplaced my notes here. So UX Gaming did win the first. That was their first attacking win. So they've managed to push it on to a 4-5 scoreline. Budapest 5 had that cash hold, which was also basically off the back of a really nice clutch from the smoke. But we have, yeah. So I think it was a bit of a misplay there by the Jaeger to be so far off site and not catch these the sort of hit squad of Zafir and Ash coming through bathroom so early on. They really went hunting for that early pick, and that basically ended up paying off. We ended up with a 1 versus 4 at the end, and the Kai just unable to hit any shots. I was a fan of that setup, however, having that construction wall open while keeping control of Cash itself, giving it a massive line of sight into Gym and all the way across all of the windows, all of the entryways into that south side. But yeah, so I think they basically lent a bit too heavily on that, and there was not enough coverage for the defenders inside of offices, inside of bedroom itself, and yeah, I think once that bathroom, once the jacuzzi wall got opened, there really wasn't much in the way of presence on the site for the defenders. That they had basically the smoke playing in the closet between the bedroom and the office itself, but that wasn't enough to hold them at bay. And we just saw some sort of well-timed aggression from the Thatcher, sort of baiting him out of position, making sure that he tried to kind of swing around onto that stairs angle and shoot him, but it exposed him to the window, and that was just enough to basically open up the site and open up the round for UX.
Yeah, so UX really played that one really well. They played it so clever. Lucania, especially pushing in deep, getting that mute attention, and kept just pushing against that mute. The mute couldn't really do much. He couldn't rotate back into bedroom because, as we saw, there was somebody on the window. There was a Habana in the hallway. The mute was, in all terms and purposes, he was stuck, and he had to try and do something. He had to try swing, and it didn't work out for him.
So, as it stands, we're at 5-4. We've got basically UX trying to fight their way to their first point or their first win or anything of the season. Budapest 5 basically cemented themselves right now at the top of the table, and they could extend that lead with a win here. They're only 2 rounds away. They're only 1 round away, in fact, from a draw. So I guess I don't know. It might be early doors right now, but I'm expecting Budapest 5 to do pretty well this season off the back of these first two performances. Um, there are definitely other
Yeah,
contenders going in, like people have sort of pegged Pats as sleepers potential contenders for the top spot as well. But Budapest 5, people might not necessarily be know them as well, especially around the UK scene, because there's Hungarian side. But they definitely come in and shown us that um, they're very capable, especially I was gonna say, especially centre half and Kingsley. They've really been showing up for their side.
yeah. Um, I'm just looking as it stands. Budapest 5 go top, and they can still get another map under their belt. So they could increase their lead to 3 points at the top. At the minute, they're just ahead on round differential, as it stands, obviously, against Revenge. And then obviously there's still 2 games to be played tonight. You still have Pregnant and Pat to Sleep, who are next. And like you said, Pat to Sleep definitely one of those teams that you could see near the top. So you'll have to wait and see for that one. And then Mvic and Lucendi. Well, that's going to be a big game. That one is, I believe, off stream, fortunately. But yeah, the Budapest 5 really cementing their place in the league, showing why they're going to have to be seen as a force to be reckoned with. And
Mm.
so far, they're doing great. They're playing. Well, not. I don't. They play. You could say they've played MVic and UX, who are at the bottom, but that's not too much, as we've only played obviously 2 Playdays, and those teams still have to play everyone else in the league. So
Yeah, I was just looking at the standings in a bit more detail. Lucendi, I think, if Budapest 5 win this match and win this map on Clubhouse, um, Lucendi are the only team that will be able to potentially finish above them come the end of this second play day, and of course that will be as a result. They would have to win both games later on against Envig. So yeah, Budapest 5 definitely cementing themselves as one of the sort of main contenders in this league so far. We're still waiting on a couple of players to get back in after that rehost, so don't go away. We'll be coming back very shortly with the game. There's just another thing I wanted to highlight about if we go back a couple of rounds to the cash hold that we just saw from Budapest 5. And that was that successful one that did come off the back of basically the sort of clutch moment from the smoke. Um, it was once again this Wamai being played on the catwalk, and ever since he's been around in the ever since he's been around in the meta and available for play. Obviously, he hasn't been actually available since for that long. Really, he's just come in. Um, he's seen his sort of pick rate skyrocket. Obviously, I mean it was at 0, but he's seen a very high pick rate in general. But especially on that catwalk hold, he's become a kind of go-to operator for that particular position, hasn't he?
Yeah, he seems like obviously he is a strong operator right now. We all know that. Um, we understand that he works a lot like Legion, so the longer he stays alive, the better it works out for himself. And obviously, bring the Jaeger alongside him. You can put ADSs down on the catwalk, say sometimes even 2, because there aren't many positions where you're necessarily needing them, especially when a Thatcher's on the board. You're not going to need one by the cash breach because that would be instantly Thatchered. You really only need one in cash, so maybe you could dedicate 2 to catwalk, and then you've got the Wamai as well. As he goes, I believe he can get up to 7 magnets, and he can throw them out all for himself. And that means you've got, well, the 2 ADSs, they take 4. 4, am I right in saying that? 4 gadgets each. And then the Wamai obviously 1 each, and that's 11 gadgets you'll need to use. But you can hear that chime again. We'll be going into this map right now. It'll be Clubhouse. As you can see, it's 5-4 to Budapest 5, going into the 10th round. Budapest 5 need 1 round to get at least a point on the board, but obviously they're looking for 2, as we stated before. They're going to want to try and take that top spot at the end of the Playday.
Absolutely. And one thing I want to add on, just as an extra reason to bring that one, of course, that position so often countered by Capital, and he catches those bolts. So there's even an extra reason on top of that to sort of bring him over, say, for instance, a Maestro or a Doc in that place. We're going to be seeing a Maestro instead of a Wamai, though, as we go down to Church and Arsenal for the second attempt by Budapest 5. They did manage to win their first go down here. That was that really kind of rushed finish to the round with only Rabinchu left trying to plant behind the black boxes, basically. Kingslayer did pick up a good couple of kills or 3 kills or so in that round, so I think he's probably found his place definitely on this Goyo on this site. I'll be interested to see if he can kind of pull it up. Obviously, our stats have disappeared, obviously, as a result of the rehost, so we don't get to keep as close an eye on who's been performing especially well, but I'm pretty sure, if I can't quite recall, I think it was Kingslayer
Defenders, protect your bombs from being defused
and
by
centre half
attackers.
at the top there for Budapest 5 so far.
I would agree with that anyway. Even if it wasn't kills, they were definitely having a great game. And that's why you see players like Kingsley getting nominated for the MVP award. And that's obviously why, because he's been playing great so far in the league and also so far this match. And he's wanting to obviously try and play even better now so they can close out this series.
I think the ace clutch alone from the last map, in case you weren't here, there was a fantastic
10 seconds to insertion.
clutch by centre half on border. That alone would nominate him for MVP in my books this week, especially, and not to
Attackers are
discount
moving out
the
to locate a bomb
the
and defuse
stellar
it.
performance he's put in elsewhere and sort of round by round across both maps anyway. So yeah, I think he's definitely been the star player so far in my books at least for Budapest 5. It looks like he's trying to extend that luck a little bit as he's pushing fairly aggressively up secret stairs, and he's just trying to wait for these attackers to come in. He's expecting them to come in garage, expecting them to come in potentially the window behind him. The drone's coming out, and he does have to fall back after being spotted. So a bit less of a extended roam than we saw last time from him. He basically gave himself up to the UX gods as a sacrifice in cash room, but this time he's going to be returning to site and hopefully prolonging UX's pain in this 5 versus 5.
Yeah, last time, like you said, he was just kind of just there. He didn't really do much. He was just someone to shoot at. He was a bit of target practice for UX, and they dealt with him quite well. It's gonna be different to deal with him this time. I honestly thought Chris was just gonna drop then.
Yeah,
I,
it looked
I
like
was so
that.
ready for him to just drop and rush at the smoke, but he didn't. He's going to be playing a lot smarter. He's going to try and stun him, try and push him out, because you don't really have any nades on the board, so it's going to have to just come down to it to drop down the hatch anyway, as long as Smoke plays the position. Not Smoke. Yeah, Smoke? Yeah, it was Smoke. But as long as he plays the position correctly, you're going to have to just drop the hatch to kill him or kill him from inside of Moto. But as long as your teammates can hold onto that, you're pretty safe inside of blue.
So we see this hatch open by Rabinchu. C4 coming out from Kingslayer, but it doesn't look like it's going to net anything. A bit of a delayed explosion there as the guy is just sitting underneath. He doesn't want to give himself up too much. That ceiling is soft, of course, so he's not completely safe at the back of Armory. And it looks like this drone didn't necessarily catch
Bomb
the
located
player on
by
the right of
attackers.
the door frame. Does spot the smoke as he destroys the drone, so Chris might be walking into a crossfire here without knowing about it. If he gets that barbed wire clear, then he might not have much longer to live.
Pinchu, what are you doing?
Wow.
Did he not? What?
Well,
So
that's
confused.
a free exothermic charge for Corvin to his name, and Rabinchu going to be placing one here, and it looks like it almost gets it, but Chris managing to actually win that gunfight against the two players as he walked into the crossfire off, and Lucania finds one of his own. Nico shutting down the Zofia, though, as Rabinchu now is sticking the plant in black box, and it's just Kingslayer left in a 1 versus 4. His position known. Nico picking up a kill there, claimed for him known himself by the Vulcan shield. The diffuser is being stuck a second attempt now by Lucania, and Kingslayer can come in to try and deny it, but it's not where he thinks it is. It's by the Moto doorway, so he has to find two now in this post plant. Thatcher has gone prone, so he's an easy kill now, and that's the free kill at the start of the clutch here. Pangoro holding this long angle from the back of blue through the soft wall. He lights up Kingslayer to just within an inch of his life, but the fresh ping coming out onto the ash makes this possible now. He's wandered into the sight of the Evil Eyes, and this is tough now. Kingslayer has the opportunity to try and bait out the defuse, but he has only a little bit of HP. He's going to be sticking it. 5 seconds left on the defuse, but Pangoro has the intel, fires a shot. The stick is coming through, though. He does find the kill just at the last second. Kingslayer going down. A very close one there as Pangoro couldn't quite line up the shot. Good thing he's a 3-speed. He managed to get that and see out the round for UX Gaming.
No 1v4 clutch this time from Kingslayer. Almost worked. But he just didn't have the time. I think if he had another, maybe, I always say this, but another 5-10 seconds added on to that diffuse timing, he could have easily probably pushed that ash and got back to the diffuser. He just took a little bit too long coming down that hallway, but he had to be quiet. He was in like a catch-22. If he was fast and he'd been known, if he was slow, he wouldn't be known. He'd get the kill, but he wouldn't have time. So it's a tough position to be in. He almost won it again, but yeah, the diffuser being planted was the difference this time for Pangoro to finish that one out.
I want to highlight something, which is that it seems as though UX Gaming, as games go by, as they get more under their belt against these pretty tough opponents in the names of Budapest 5 and Revenge GG, they basically are getting better and better round by round, or sorry, map by map. They've managed to push this one almost all the way, and now we're 1 point away from match point, but either side could take it. And UX Gaming definitely outdoing a lot of the expectations of, well, at least myself, but many other people, I think. And yeah, they could actually take this one and win it right now. They've come back from a 5-3 deficit, 2 attacking rounds to their name, and we're going back to Church Arsenal for a third attempt. We've had 1 win, 1 loss here on the defensive side, so Budapest 5 need to hunker down a bit better than they did last time. It was basically off the back of a fantastic push from Chris. He won that crossfire when he really had no right to do so. We didn't get to see it close firsthand, but just based on the positioning alone, there's no way he should have been allowed to claim the heads of both defenders in that situation, and that basically set them up for the win, even though it did come very close at the end, thanks to the efforts of Kingslayer.
All the pressure right now, I would say, is probably on Budapest 5. As you said, they're most likely the favourites as they're on the top of the league, and UX nearer to the bottom. but they can definitely, like you said, they've proven themselves to not be worthy of that bottom spot, as they are contending with some of the top teams in this league. And maybe they were just having a few off days, and obviously that can happen. So we'll have to just wait and see as this league progresses. I thought I heard that Habana charge go off a little bit earlier than it actually did. But Pangoro is going to find a free kill onto Kingslayer, really, and that's your clutch potential in theory gone. Obviously, most players can clutch, but probably a much clutched value player, Kingslayer, is off the board. So if UX can get themselves into a 1vx, or sorry, like a 1vx, they can easily take this round, and
A bomb has been located.
this round's definitely winnable, and they could easily put themselves into a strong position here to get themselves off that bottom spot.
1 minute 14 left on the board, and already this drop in Moto coming through from the attackers. Lucania also managing to claim the life of the smoke, so that's a pretty big pick if you're going for this quicker push. Lucania also with a double kill now onto Corbin, shuts down that bandit, and now we've just got 2 defenders left. Make that 1 as Pangoro finds the head of Nico. Ball down to center half in a 1 versus 5. He can't find the shots through the soft wall onto the attacker there in Moto, but Rabinchu sticking the plant. Another kill for Pangoro on the round, and a very quick take from UX. Just completely flushing out the defenders there. And a flawless round puts them on match point.
That was a really good round. They just found their picks. They played it very smartly. Budapest 5 over-aggressing. That smoke, I don't think it was completely necessary to smoke off Moto at that point in time. But he decided it was, and he did it. And it didn't work out for him. It could have paid off. But Lucania hit a nice shot. Let's not take anything away from Thatcher. He had a nice shot, and then because the church wall was open, the bandit was forced to reposition. And with the M870, well, at a distance, it's going to be a tough one to win that fight, especially against AR-30. And then, well, Lucania took that fight as well. And then it was a 5 versus 2. Then your Maestro, well, he's got a tough position to play. So yeah, well played to UX.
Defenders,
Well played
protect your
indeed.
bombs
And we
from
have
being
now
defused by attackers.
what will be our final round, round 12. And UX Gaming have to attack onto Cash. Budapest 5 now only in contention for a point. We were talking as though we were expecting them to take this win not too long ago, and now they can only get a point from it. And definitely now, if you're a Lucendi fan or a Lucendi player, then this is good news for you. You have the chance this evening now to try and take yourself and put yourself at the top of the league come the end of the playdate with a couple of wins. But Budapest 5 still top for now. UX Gaming do want this to win, though. That would be a brilliant feather under their caps. They've gone 3 losses in this league so far.
Moving out to locate a
And
bomb.
so if they can overturn Budapest 5, who are no slouches, then that's a pretty good day for them at the office.
Yeah, they're going to overturn them as sorry, if they overturn, it would be a pretty good day at the office, and especially on a map that they lost 7-4 last week to Revenge. So it's been a good turnaround, as you can see from them. From, like you said, like last round, every round they are getting better and better. It just seems like they're kind of growing with each other and growing against the teams that they're playing against. They're learning how the enemies are playing, and they're adapting well, and they're playing well themselves, obviously. But yeah, well played for them for that anyway. Yeah, definitely improving.
It's funny you bring up that they're growing together, because it's worth mentioning as well that Chris and One Step Heck, both very new players to this roster. So certainly we can see them improve over time, and maybe this is the turning point that we are witnessing right here. But what we're witnessing right now is the breach being opened and Husky not managing to trick that wall one bit. Pangoro finding a kill onto center half as well. So pretty good start by UX, as they've really upped the pace in these recent rounds. Center half as well has been a pretty big performer for Budapest 5. At least before this half, he's kind of fallen off a little bit, and now we've got a good strong entry underneath from the attackers. Pangoro being felled by his own Goyo shields there off screen, and now it's a 5 versus 3. 5 versus 2 as One Step Heck finds one onto Kingslayer, and it could be all falling apart for Budapest 5. Corvin rallying back though, finds One Step Heck downstairs and does manage to make his way back to the site. He has the protection of this deployable shield, but that Claymore is going to make things a little bit tougher if he wants to walk across. He has to hug this wall, which he probably would be doing instead, but Oh, he might trigger it if he's not careful. He has to be very careful on the drone hole. Husky swinging out of sight and finds Pangoro. So this advantage by UX not necessarily being followed up on here, and we could see yet another big clutch in cash. Corvin did it before, he could do it again. Plant is going down as Toxic Beauty goes out, but Gabinchu looks like he's going to be trying to tank it as it does go down. And there we have it, Lucania and Chris picking up one apiece on the cover for the plant, and that's UX turning this one round. They were 5-3 down, and 4 successive attacking round wins puts them with a 7-5 scoreline and their first win of the season.
Just for a little bit of context, that puts them out of the bottom 2, and they're now into like the 7th and 8th range, I think. Actually, they go up to 8th. Obviously, with a few teams still to play, it could go differently. They could end up still back in that bottom 2, but right now that isn't the focus for them. The focus for them is obviously improving, and it's shown that they have improved since last week. Obviously, they lost 7-4 against 2nd place, and now they've beaten 1st place 7-5 on Budapest 5's map pick. So well played for them for that one. Budapest 5 seemed to slow down a little bit after the rehost. I'm not sure whether that was the reason or whether